My hat! Hello and welcome back. We're continuing the build. We're now going to be doing page 8. So we're going to start off with 8, and for 8 we're going to be building a differential. So you're going to grab this bag, which is part B, or bag B, and inside is the little bag with the gears. We'll take the springs. Alright, so let's see. So we have more screws, and we're going to set these over here. We're just going to open this bag because these, if you notice, there's the small ones that you're going to need for the differential. So we're just going to open this bag, pour them out. Alright, and we have the bag with the gears, so we're just going to open this one up. We're just going to put those here. And we have this other bag. I do not think we're going to be using it yet, so I'm going to keep it this way. Alright, so first things first, differential. Alright, so you're going to need, again, this gear right here. You need that. You're going to need the 3 small screws, and those are going to hold that gear on. Alright, you will need all of these here, right? Top, bottom, bottom, top, it's the same with that. Alright, so we've got screws, check. This, good. These are the 2 large ones, the 3 conical gears. Alright, we also have the star shaft. This right here is the housing. Right, so this is the gear case, and we have that. And that's all we need for this other than grease. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is, again, you're going to grease this part here inside, because that's where the gear is going to go. I'm going to go ahead and drop the gear. Just spinning it just a tad. And I'm going to put some grease on these gears, or on this gear. Just a few little dabs of grease. That's it. Now I'm going to take the star shaft. Conical gears are going to go all point inward. And I'm just going to drop them in. And notice they go on those little tabs. Well, the star gear does. There we go. So that's how they fall in. And I'm going to put just a little bit of grease here on each gear. And again, I'm going to drop this one in there. And I'm just going to spin it so that all the gears get coated with grease. Find it easier to do it this way. And they're pretty well coated. I'm going to put just a little more grease still. Not too much. You don't really need that much, to be honest. There we go. Now I'm just going to drop this and let it sit there. And I'm going to grab this one, and notice those little tabs. I mean, they'll fall in place when you line up the holes. There we go. See? All right. Now we're going to need our number 1 driver for this. Here we go. And I'm just going to place 1 screw. I'm going to start driving that screw inside. And I'm not going to drive it all the way. Now it's very important that you do not over tighten this, and it's 2 reasons. 1, it's plastic and you can ruin it. And 2, let's just say you tighten it too much and you don't ruin it, your gears might bind, which you would ruin it later. Maybe not immediately, but later. So you you just drive them in until they seat, and that's it. Okay, so now I'm going to start driving this one. I'm going to drive this one. Now I'm driving them all the way in. So I started with this one, now the last one. And that's it. Now, if you want to just try it out, you can grab one of these and then just kind of drop it in place and spin them. Everything seems to spin fine. All right. Now for next step, step 13, we have our assembly here. And we're going to need a few things. We're actually going to need now, let's see, 2 of these bushings. These are the plastic bushings. We're going to need 2 of the larger brass bushings. Right here. And we're going to need that large gear. Here we go. All right. And based on this, it says we need 5 parts, 2, 2, 1, plus the assembly. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great. So according to the diagram, we need 6. According to this, we need 5. That piece there, P3, which is not on the diagram, if you look at the servo part, there is a piece that looks just like it, and it's this little plastic piece. I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. And I'm going to go ahead and trim it. All right, I'm going to assume it's this one because I cannot find any other parts on any of the other trees that are this size. So again, based on the diagram, you need 2 of the white bushings, 2 of the brass bushings, this little pinion gear, and then off the servo parts tree, this black plastic bushing. All right. Now, as far as screws, we will be needing 2 of the long ones and 1 of the short ones. So 2 of the long ones. It's very similar to the assembly of the other part. And then we will need 2 of these here. And actually 1. You just need 1. And we are ready to begin the assembly. So this time you're going to flip the chassis. The chassis is going to be this way. Right, so motor's away from you. This is toward you. And you're going to need the grease again. And I'm just going to put some on the gears. You're going to be greasing everything up. All right, good. So now we're going to grease up the bushings. And if your shop, your local racetrack, actually those don't go there. What am I doing? These go in here. Allows you to replace these bushings with bearings, go ahead and do it. Bearings are a lot better. Put some grease on here. So I'm just putting grease on the face of that bushing. And that'll cover this one. And then, there we go. And then if I spin it, there's actually some grease on the shaft. So that will be enough grease to grease up the inner part of the bushing. And you want to just grease up all the components and all the faces. All right, so we have all of those, and that piece sat in there nicely. So now that everything is sat in there properly, I'm going to drop this gear in, and it's keyed. So there it is, and I'm actually spinning it, and everything seems to be spinning. You can actually see these shafts here spinning slowly. Well, we should be able to. See, there we go. So everything works, nothing's binding, so I am happy with that. Now I need to use the brass bushings. Instead of putting grease on the inside of the bushings, I'm just going to put grease on the outside of this. It's much easier. And that is good enough. Easier if I flip it this way. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to take the bushing, place it here, spin it a little, place it there, spin that a bit, and I am set. Now I can drop this in, and notice that these teeth are going to go that way. So they're going to go toward your left as this is sitting and facing you. And I've placed it there. I'm just spinning it to get all the grease on all the teeth. And looks like I need a little bit of grease here. And that is all. So it's all greased up. Everything is good. Perfect. All right. Now we've completed step 13, so we can move on to step 14. Step 14, we're going to need the 4 arms that we previously assembled. And we are also going to need those 3 components. They are very similar to the last ones. So you just have to grab this parts tree, and one of them has them, one of them does not. So grab the one that has them. And we have that, and we have this. All right, and now we need the cover, and the cover is the large one, this one here, and that came off nicely. Great. So at this point, you need to orient the arms. If you start with these, the ones that have this little piece here, start with those. There's going to be one on each side. They're going to be the lower arms, and that part goes toward you. So this piece goes towards you. So start with those, place them in there, right? Those lower holes. Start with those. Then grab the other 2. One of the things to notice about these other 2, this big block, that goes away from you. That goes toward the motor. And it doesn't matter, none of these are marked left or right, so it doesn't matter which goes which, just orient it that way. But before you drop it in, you need to grab this piece. Notice there's that little keyed slot there. And this is going to drop right on top. So you have these 2. So this portion goes toward you, and these 2 holes have to line up with these 2 holes here. So that's just going to drop there. And that is it. So now you can just put these in here. All right, and you're not installing any screws yet on here. At this point, what you actually need is you need the cover. So this cover is going to hold all 4 points for the arms. So make sure that this is up and the flat is bottom. And that is it. So arms are there. And at this point, you can install this tower. And this tower, this side, this goes toward you. This side, this goes toward the back. Here. Now you can install the screws. The silver screw, this is a short one. Okay, silver screw is going to go on top. And remember, it's a slightly longer one than the rest of the silver screws in the bag. It's going to go there. And then you're going to use these other ones. These other ones are just going to go on the other two holes. So you have the silver one here, and then these darker metal ones over here. Actually, a very beautiful color. Be nice if more parts were that color. The reason why is the silver screws look really raw. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten the top one fully. There we go. And I'm going to check the other two. Good. All right. So that is set there. So we have completed this part here. Now, this will come off and then you can apply grease, but to be honest, you don't really need grease on these arms, but you can apply some grease in there. And this is so loose right now that you can always just remove this and apply grease if you so desire.